Hey, everybody. You are watching the Hone Zone. I'm your host, Hone Tai, and today we are going to be talking about how to shortcut your success journey. There are multiple ways you can take to get to where you're trying to go. And when I say where you're trying to go, I mean your success goals, whatever it may be in terms of unit count. Maybe you want to have a certain number of units. Maybe you want a 100-unit apartment building, whatever, right? There's also a monetary goal that you want. You might want to make $5,000 a month passively. Maybe you want to make $100,000 a year. Maybe you want to make $1 million a year. Whatever it is, there's goals that you have, and my conversation today is all about how you could potentially shortcut those things. So what prompted this conversation right now is a phone call that I got earlier today where this person said, "Hey, I want to become a property manager." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why do you want to be a property manager?" Well, he said, "Well, it would be a good opportunity for me to learn the business. It's also going to be a way for me to add value to lives." And that's fantastic. That's nice to hear. So tell me about how you're going to achieve that. How you're going to achieve that. And he was telling me, okay, I'm going to go to real estate school. I'm going to learn how to become a property manager from real estate school. And then I'm going to apply for a position within a company that exists and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. As a property manager, what do you think your roles are going to be? What are you going to be doing for people? And he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to be handling the problems. I'm going to be fixing things. I'm going to be collecting the rent. I'm going to do this, that, the other." I said, "Well, if that's what you want to do now, instead of being a formal property manager, why don't you cater to the people who self-manage their properties, but you're a middleman. You're not a property manager, so you're not a full-on property manager where you collect, say, 6 to 10% of the rent. You're not a full-on formal property manager where you're collecting a portion, but instead, you're providing a service when they call." So there's a lot of property owners. They handle all their tenants, right? When there's a problem, the tenant calls the owner. So then the owner has to figure out how they're going to fix the problem. So let's say a tenant calls me and the tenant's like, "Hey, my toilet's broken." So my job is to then find a plumber to go and fix the toilet. So instead of me figuring out who to call, whether it's a plumber or an electrician or an HVAC technician or whoever it is, what if there was a person who I could call and then that person will figure the rest out, right? And why that's good is because some months I have 0 calls from the tenants, like none. So it feels wasteful when I have 0 calls from the tenant, yet I'm paying a property manager to answer calls just in case, right? So that's why a lot of people do self-management. This is why they do it. This is why they don't hire a property manager, because they feel like it's a waste of money. Whether it is, whether it's not, that's a different conversation. So there's this service that I told him that he could provide to landlords who are managing their own properties, where they can call him and he will handle it on a part-time basis. So he will only get paid when he does that service. Outside of that, he doesn't get paid. So that way he could accomplish what he's looking to accomplish. And remember, I was asking, why do you want to be a property manager? What is it that you're looking to do? And he wanted to just solve problems. Okay, that's number one. That's cool. Doing this, you're solving problems. Number two, he gets to learn about the industry, the trades, all that kind of stuff. I told him, do this for free for a while. Just help landlords, do it for free, get the training, get the skills, network with a bunch of construction people, whether it's a plumber, electrician, whoever, network with them. And then you're going to build your network, you're going to build your skills, and you as an individual become very valuable because of what you know. And then you can charge all kinds of prices for your service. He doesn't have to go to school for this. He can't get certified in this. There is nothing like that for this. So you see how what he originally thought he needed to do, which was go to school and then work for somebody and all that kind of stuff, and that might have taken a year and a half and cost thousands of dollars or hundreds, whatever, it's going to cost something, right? All of a sudden, I was able to cut down his time by just telling him, like, look, offer this value for these people, and then you get to accomplish what you want to accomplish without going through all of the red tape. And then he was just like, wow, It's interesting because that does achieve all of the things that I want it to achieve, and I get to do it now, not 2 years from now, not a year from now. So now this conversation goes to you. What is it that you are trying to achieve? What goals are you trying to hit? What unit count? What are you trying to do? So some people want to do Airbnb, and uh, Airbnb was very popular before coronavirus, right? So people wanted to do Airbnbs, and people thought that they had to buy the property in order to be able to then rent out the property for Airbnb. Well, what if instead of buying the property, you rented a property? Renting a property is so much faster than buying a property because there's less paperwork, right? Less paperwork and potentially less money up front. So you don't have to buy the property. You can just rent the property. So you can just rent the properties and then re-rent it as Airbnb. And voila, you've accomplished your goal of having an Airbnb business without buying all of these properties, which might have been the strategy you thought you needed to do. So take a look at what you're trying to achieve. And then I am sure there are ways to cut that down. There are so many ways to cut down any process that you're trying to do. I get a kick off of creating these businesses that have like this shortcut thing. I get excited over it, and that's why I build so many businesses, and I build so many business in this way because it just I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy this process, I don't think I'd be able to create any of the businesses that I have. But I enjoy this process. I like being able to use my mind to think up of new ways. So what business are you guys trying to create? And then which way can you shortcut it? Right? There are so many ways to shortcut it. I think it was Tony Robbins who said, if you could just have what you want without having to do your process, would you be okay with that? And what he means by that is, like, let's say you mapped out your strategy, and you know that you have to send out 10,000 letters in order to get 100 responses, right? You send out 10,000 mailers, you get 100 responses. And then of the 100 responses, you get to buy 2 houses, right? So 10,000 letters, 100 responses, you end up with two deals. And then those 2 deals produce, say, $1,000 a month in income. He says, well, what if you can just create the $1,000 a month income? Would you even bother doing the $10,000 mailers and 100 responses and all of that kind of stuff? Would you even bother with any of that kind of stuff? And people are so focused on the plan that they forget the goal. Is there a way for you to get your goal without going through your plan? Is there a way you can leapfrog the plan to get the goal? Kylie Jenner, whether you like her or hate her, she created that makeup business that had $1 billion in revenue or whatever it is. And there was this comment that I read on an article about her business. And the guy commented about her having this $1 billion business. And he said, yeah, but what's her follow-up CRM like? I was like, follow-up CRM? You mean like when a potential client calls in and wants to look at your product, and then you follow up with a drip campaign and all that kind of stuff? I'm thinking that, right? He's so focused on having the most optimized structure that he doesn't even realize that she hit the goal without having the process at all. She used social media to market. She has a website, and then she has a fulfillment center, and voila, the business grows. And she just markets by being her on social media. Oh, go to my website, buy some makeup, and sold out. She doesn't need a CRM system that does a follow-up drip campaign and all that kind of. She doesn't need that because it sells on its own. If you could skip all that, would you? Right? That's the thing. So look at the processes that you're doing. Is there something that you don't have to do yet can still hit your goals? That's an interesting question. And that's something that I want you guys to ponder over. Some people are so focused on the plan at hand that they miss the whole entire point of what you're trying to achieve in the first place. You're so wrapped up in the how, you forgot what the what was, right? If you could get the what, just get the what without doing the how. And if you could figure that out, you save so much time. And my whole entire business model is all about how do I show you how to acquire more assets so that you can have more money passively so that you can get back your time. Ultimately, I just want you to have your time back. I want my time back. I want to have more time to do what I want to do and not necessarily work for my money. And so, what are you doing with your time? Are you wasting your time with a process that you don't necessarily have to do? Some people work a really hard process because they think that's the only way to get to their goal. So figure out what is your goal and is there a faster way to get there? If your goal is simply just money, I just want to make $10,000 a month. If that's your goal, is working your 9 to 5 the best and fastest way to get to that money? Because your goal isn't to go to work. Most of you, your goal is not to get to work, but you forget that. You absolutely forget that. Your goal is not to go to work. Your goal is to make money to pay your bills so that you can live the life that you want. Well, how can you make money without going to work? How can you make the money to pay your bills? How do you get your bills paid for with money, whether it's your money or money from some other source, right? So this is the thinking that I want you guys to have. How do you shortcut that so that you get what you want without the long drawn out process? There is a way to shortcut that. I don't know what it is that you're working on, but I'm sure that there's a way. So it's a good conversation to have. It's a good thing to mull over thought process wise. And if you guys want to have a conversation about it, let me know. Message me, comment, do all that kind of stuff, and we can talk about it. All right. So I just want to leave you guys with that idea. For those who take this seriously, your life changes. And for the rest of you who just are like, oh, that's a cool idea, but then don't do anything with it, nothing changes. And it's okay. It's okay if you do nothing with it. But for the very few who will do something with it, a lot changes. So with that, guys, I will talk to you in the next video. See ya.